So here we are at the Real World of Real Estate. We're getting our live feeds turned on here. Give me just a second. And we will begin here and start here live on the Clubhouse. We'll get that going. And we are here, and here we go. That's everything. So let me just 1 second here. I'm a one-man show, so welcome to the Real World of Real Estate. We are here live with Nate Butcher. I'm super excited to have an interview here with the top producing agent that I've grown to know for many years. Before we get started, let me just go ahead and get our quick intro done. Welcome to the Real World of Real Estate. My name is Poliseno. I'm your host. We're here every day, Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. And we have Nate Butcher here, and I'm super excited. Nate is a personal friend of mine. We both came into real estate around the same time. I started in 2005. Nate, when did you start?
2000, yeah.
2000. So you were about 5 years ahead of me, actually. But we were both in Santa Clarita, California, and he was the top agent in the office, and I got to look up to him. And so I wanted to start out by saying that, Nate, I'd like you to introduce yourself. The premise of this show is the Real World of Real Estate. I don't know if you know the one of the first reality shows called The Real World. Do you remember that show?
I do. I remember.
So I like the premise of the show is I'd like to, if we could have cameras in our life, as real estate agents, as you're running a huge team and doing a massive business. And I'm running a team as well, not quite as much business as you, but I'm also a coach for iconcoaching.com. And we both lead very busy lives in real estate. If we could have a camera on our shoulder, following us around, what would that look like? Because in the Real World reality show, they had cameras in this house, and we got to watch the shenanigans and the drama and all the things that happen in that house. And that's kind of the idea that I had for this show. And so if you could start off by introducing yourself, and please take us all the way back, because I know you started as, you were in law enforcement, and something happened. You had an entrepreneurial seizure, I guess, as they say in the book, The E-Myth, and you came into real estate. So I'd like you to go back there, but I'd like you to start off even further back, maybe high school, college, and share with us what cards did you have in your deck of cards that allowed you to go from law enforcement into real estate and build this massive business that you have? So go ahead, and I'll let you start.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they think about seeing somebody that's, I'm now 51 years old, so it's a little bit later on in life, they don't know how you started or what things come from. So I grew up, my wife and I both grew up in West Virginia, so just a small town. I think we had 3,000 people in the county, so it wasn't like living in Los Angeles like we do now. And when I got out of high school, I wanted to use the GI Bill to go to college, right? So that could help pay for my college. So I joined the Navy. And then I got married right out of high school. I married my high school sweetheart, Amy. We're still married today, over 30 years. So we got into U-Haul. We got into U-Haul and we trucked it across to San Diego, and that's where we started. I did 4 years in the Navy, and when I went to get out of the military, that was great. I earned all my stuff with the GI Bill, and went to college and started going to school and things like that. And 23 years old, I didn't know really what I wanted to do. Now, when I was a kid, I had all kinds of businesses, right? We lived on a farm, so we did farm businesses, right? We had chickens and cows and all those types of cool things. So those are things that I did as a kid. But when I got out, I was like, okay, they were really pushing heavy into law enforcement at that time, meaning San Diego Sheriff's, LAPD, California Highway Patrol. And I was already in California, loved the weather and just loved the whole lifestyle. So we decided to stay. Did get hired with LAPD, and I started to work. It was a wonderful job. I have nothing bad to say about it. Great career. I loved my time in the military.
Thank you for your service, by the way, both as in the military and law enforcement. That just shows you what type of person you are.
Well,
you love helping people.
Well, and I will tell you, if there's anything for any of your listeners out there, if they were in the military or law enforcement, or let's say they're a teacher right now, or any kind of instructional type person or leadership type role, it really helps in the career of real estate. So, being a past and you're taught how to communicate. Like being a police officer for over 9.5 years, it helped me with my communication skills. How do I settle disputes civilly, but take authority and let people know who's in charge, right? Because they need to be led when they're selling their homes and stuff like that. So that's what I did. I was with the police department for about 5 years, and I was doing some off-duty jobs. I was bodyguarding some movie stars. A lot of in LA, they like to have the LAPD to do that because I got hired with LAPD. And the way I got into real estate was I was working all those off-duty jobs, trying to make extra money. And an old retired police officer, it was in my town. He was older, and he went to sell my house. And I was like, wow, this looks like it's pretty good. And he goes, hey man, you've got the gift of gab. It sounds like you should get a real estate license. So I did. And that's what happened. And so what I could say is, I like to tell people, if you're in real estate, one thing when you're first starting out, it's not bad to keep your day job. And I understand the philosophy with a lot of coaches and teachers and trainers, and they really press upon people, go all in, give it everything you have. But in reality, you also have to pay your rent, right? It takes a while to build up that client database or develop so I kept my job as a police officer, and I worked for another 4.5 years. So I would work the night shift, and then I would sell real estate during the day. So that's how I got started. I always tell people, whatever sphere of influence you have, to use that sphere of influence to build your real estate career. So I use the police officers, I use the firemen, the nurses I would see when we were taking in suspects, all those people that I knew, I started selling their property. So I kind of got coined the term Real Estate Nate, because the guys at the station would get me on the radio and they would say, hey, is Real Estate Nate out there? We need to sign our escrow papers or our disclosures or whatever. So yeah, I would get up and I would do that, and I would go to work and I would talk about real estate the whole time at the police department, and that got me started. So I'm really grateful for those men and women of the police department, and I still know them today and sell many of their homes many years later. So, but that's what got me started.
That's awesome. So what I heard you say is you were not groomed for real estate. It's not like you had a real estate family.
No, I wasn't groomed for anything, my friend. So sometimes I think in life we kind of find our own way. And I think if we're open-minded, I never had an idea that I would ever sell real estate or do anything like that. When I first became a police officer, I loved the job, and I loved it all the way till the end. It's just at the end, when I had about 9.5 years, I was selling close to sometimes 100 homes. You can't give everything 100%. At that time, I said, okay, this is going to be a full-time thing for me always. And I stepped out. But no, I didn't have a real estate family. My family does not have a business background. My dad is a minister. My mom is a beautician. So there's no kind of business, stuff going on there. So they just that's what kind of came to me, and that's what the good Lord blessed me with. So that's where I'm at today.
And I've known you now since 2005. I mean, I've gotten to know you, and we've interacted through. I'm not even sure if we've ever done an escrow together. We might have done one or so over the years, but a lot of people think that we don't know who's watching this. It's going to be new agents. It could be agents that are been in the business a while and they're struggling a little bit. It could be, especially the market we're in today, it could be seasoned agents. I mean, your business today, if you could just share with us the last 5 years, maybe walk through like what you did in volume, how many homes, walking through the 5 years up until where you are now, and just how much your business has grown.
Sure. I think one thing that I can do to help kind of every step of the way is my path has been maybe a little different than some. It's definitely been in stages. So when I was in the first stage of my career, I worked, even agents who are on my team now, we can talk about that. If they have a full-time job where they're paying their bills, I don't want them to dump everything because they get a little motivated. I do have the ability to get somebody really excited, but then if I get you excited and you can only close 5 or 6 deals in a year, that's not going to pay your bills, right? So what I do is I tell them to to get a stable foundation and build a stable database. So what I did at the first part of my career is I worked as a police officer, and I started building those relationships and building that database. You can call it a database, you can call it a sphere of influence, your people around you, you can call it whatever you want, but building those relationships, because real estate is all relational. So you have to be educated. We can talk about that a little more, and you have to be knowledgeable. People do business with who they know, who they like, and who they trust. Now, a lot of people have heard that people do business who they know, like, and trust. But another aspect of that is also who they respect. When times get hard or a lot of money is involved, the respect comes from the knowledge that you have. So I'm a real student of my local market. I know the streets, I know the houses, the tracks. I check the MLS 3 or 4 times a day. I know what's coming on the market. I network with local agents. So when I first started out, I was building that sphere of influence, and I kept that. And then when it was time to step out, so for the first 16 years of my career, I just worked by myself. I started a team when I was younger, but I wasn't mature enough to handle it, and it kind of fell apart after just a really short time. And I don't suggest that for younger people. We can talk about too if you want. But I worked by myself, an assistant, and a transaction coordinator. Okay. I think my first year, I don't remember the exact number, maybe 20 homes, 25 homes, which is a lot for your first year. I understand.
Average agent sells 6. So
Right. But to my credit, I used what I had. So I had a police department of 10,000 people that trusted me, knew me, liked me. Not everybody, but just because I had that badge and that uniform, there's a built-in camaraderie there. So that's what I use. So I encourage everybody to use what you have. Is that your son's, football team, your daughter's cheer team? It doesn't make a bit of difference. Is it your church's Bible study? Is the class that you teach? If you're a teacher now, the kids. So use your sphere of influence. And I just worked that. Now, I didn't spend any money. I did it all just by relational real estate. Okay. Keeping those relationships. But one thing that I did do is I talked about it nonstop, and I learned my local market. So I had all the expertise. So you cannot be an undercover agent. You cannot be shy. Shy people, as a typical residential real estate agent, don't make it. I'm not saying if you're shy, you have to get over the fact. Okay. And today video is important and all those different things. So the first part of my career, that's what I did, just relational real estate. And I did that all the way up until just a few years ago. And it's been very good for me and my family. You have to learn how to work around it when you're doing a lot of transactions and it's just you and a transaction coordinator. And then I moved into the team aspect just a few years ago as I got a little older. And I thought, well, I've got a lot of knowledge to share and leadership skills from, all over the years and things like that. Sure. So then I moved into the team aspect.
How many years were you part-time agent and law enforcement cop before you went full-time?
4.5 years. So for 4.5 years.
That was about when I first met you, is when that happened.
Yeah. And I would sell probably 20 to, it got up to, it was getting into the 60, 70, 80 deals. But I will tell people this, but after you pass 20 transactions, and you don't have an assistant, you shouldn't even have 20. If you're doing 12, one a month, 12 to 15 transactions, you really need an assistant, or you're hurting your clients, okay? Because you can't give them full attention. Once you hit 24, you definitely need a full-time. And when you get to 40, that's a breaking point. So one individual cannot take care of more than 40 clients in a year's time and truly take care of them. If you do, and you try not to hire an assistant, a transaction coordinator, those types of people, you can't take the phone calls. You're too stressed out. You're going to be snapping at them. They're going to feel that negative energy because the workload is too much. So once you start wanting to get through that threshold, and I'm teaching my team now, you've kind of got the 1 deal a month, the 12 deal agent, that's what I consider a full-time real estate agent, because in California, you're at a 6-figure income, right? At 12 deals, right? Once you double that into the 20s, you've got to get somebody to help you full-time. And then passing that 40 threshold, that's a whole nother level. So that's usually kind of where I stop. And of course, there's levels after that for teams, but for individual agents, about 40, you're going to kill yourself if you don't make some adjustments. Yeah.
Yeah, and the title of today's show was how to create a seven-figure income using real estate. And I know you've been there. You've been there. I think it probably was back in 2005 and six when you went full time that you went quickly to seven figures, making over $1 million a year. And you did that without a team. You did that with personal production. And what I'd like you to maybe share is just like where you are today. Like you said, you did 20 transactions, 20, 30, you got up to 40 transactions, and then you came full time into
Yes.
real estate. What lead generation strategies, other than your sphere, because most people have a sphere. Now, there are agents, like I just got off the phone with somebody that moved to completely different state. Like you didn't have a huge sphere, but you had a sphere. How big was your sphere? And did you have other lead
Right.
generation strategies that you were using as well?
Exactly. Okay. So when I first, I have never purchased a lead in my life until less than 9 months ago. Okay. So let's
Wow.
take all that. I've never bought a Zillow lead. I bought a lead anytime. Now I do with the team, and I'll explain that later. But but now I do not. So it was only through, I literally built my business through open houses every single week. Open house, open house, open house, open house. So I had my own sphere of influence that kind of the police officers, hey Nate, I've got a property to sell. I started with a little
Right.
2-bedroom home that a guy gave me.
Referrals. Yep.
And so if you're new, you take that listing and then you go all around the neighborhood and you invite people to your open house. So that's how I did. And I kept the names and numbers. Look, if you're doing an open house and you walk out of that open house without the name, numbers, and emails, you've wasted your time. You just
Yep.
wasted your day. Okay. So then I would put those in a database in your CRM. Now you can use any database you want. You could use, I know here at EXP, we have KV Core. You can use Boomtown, you can use Follow Up Boss, Sierra, whatever that you prefer, but keep that data somewhere. And then you have to follow up with those people and develop the relationship. So, but I know if you're just starting out, or let's say, I spoke to a young man who was in Sacramento and he just moved to Burbank. He goes, I knew everybody there and nobody here. What do I do? So he has to start his sphere of influence, but it's real estate is a long game. And a lot of people get into it thinking it's get rich really fast, or they think,
Yeah.
wow, if I just sold 4 houses in, Valencia at $1 million, I could make 100,000. And it just doesn't work that way. If you do a lot of bit more, if you do a little bit, you're starving out. So I think that the way the real estate trend is moving, I think it's moving toward large teams taking massive market share. I think that's where it's going. And that's why I moved my business. I personally think that the individual agent that's just out there working on their own, trying to do 5, 6, 7, 10 deals a year, I think they're going to have a harder time until it just disappears. I don't think it's going to make, I
Yeah.
think team concept is going to work. So that's what I did. So, but here's where I had my struggle. So I would go from 35 deals to 40. I would get super motivated, or maybe the market was just screaming for me and I would do 60. And then the next year it was back to 35. So instead of $1 million, like you talked about, it's not always my income might go from 400 grows to $1 million, just all over the place with no stability, because I think you wear yourself out doing all the work yourself. So that's where I'm at now, to where the team concept came in, and how am I going to do that? And I think by doing it a little bit later, doing it, in my late 40s, starting it, I had enough sense to seek out the best coaching. The biggest mistake I have ever made in my career, there's 2 big mistakes. One was when I left the police department, I did not stay a reserve. I should have stayed a reserve and worked 2 days a month for free so I could have keys to the station and still know all those guys and just walk in and girls
Yeah.
and just have donuts, right? Big mistake. Shouldn't have done that. And the second one is I never took instruction. So my personal ability to communicate from being a police officer and my natural energy, I'm chatty. You can probably tell I don't have a problem talking. So I relied upon talent, but so the talent will only take you so far. So when you hear that saying that says, talent will beat work or work will beat talent if talent doesn't work. So
Yeah.
I used my talent, but that talent only took me to a certain barrier and I could never push through. And I never went to Mike Ferry. I never went to Tom Ferry. I never went to a coach like you that could have really helped me where a lot of other people did. And it wasn't because I was arrogant or belligerent and didn't want to. I just thought I didn't need it. But what happened was when I wanted to start a team and I didn't want to fail, I looked for the best coaching in the country. I interviewed, I took my time and found out where I needed to go to get that. And what I've learned in the past 2 years, if I would have only done that early in my career when I was 28, 29, 35, I would be, I would probably not even be, I would be so far ahead. I would, I would own bill brokerages and all kinds of stuff, but I didn't do that then. So I just encourage everybody that's listening, no matter what level you're at, even the coach that I have, who's as high as a level as you could probably get in real estate, he has coaches that coach him in other businesses that are even above his level. So there's always somebody to help lead the way. And I think that's
Right.
something that you should look into.
Yeah, it's incredible that you mentioned that about coaching. I mean, you're doing business at a high level, extremely high level. And I use the analogy Tom Brady, because I'm from New England. I love Tom Brady. I know he's not born in New England, but he was there for a long time. And his like five coaches. I mean, he's got a quarterbacks coach, a strength coach, a nutritional coach. He's got Bill Belichick as his coach, and he also coaches with Tony Robbins. He pays Tony Robbins $1 million a year to coach directly with Tony Robbins. So that's just crazy. Sean Kokoska, we're both, Nate and I are both with EXP. This show is not about EXP, but we're with Keller Williams for a long time. Nate actually left and went to Remax or Realty Executives?
I went to
For a
Realty.
bit.
I was at Keller Williams for 10 years and nothing was wrong with Keller. I just got a good
Right.
offer to go to Realty Executives. Went there and that was a great company. And so for 18 years, I had moved one time.
Yeah.
And it was only the EXP opportunity when I saw it. It was for me and what I wanted to do. I'm like, okay, this is great. And it's the best decision I've made. So, but there's any companies, it's whatever fits you the best, of course.
Yeah. And I'm a coach for Icon Coaching. I have a team as well. And I also still sell real estate as well. And Nate is still out selling real estate because he loves it and wants to help the people that he's working with. And we're both at EXP. Nate was smarter. It took me 2 years, after at least 2 years to follow and come over to EXP. And I know, congratulations, you guys just bought a new house using stock that came from EXP, which is amazing. So if you ever want to know more about that, give me a call at 818-338-8787, or you can private message me on any one of the social channels that you see this on. But Nate has built a huge business in that as well. So at what point could you share you became a salesperson, real estate, law enforcement, to you became a business owner? At what point did that happen? And
Right.
what leverage did you bring into your system?
I think that I think people have to understand something when they're talking about real estate, because a lot of times we look at it different. And I would say that an agent like I was for the first, let's say 16, 17 years, I had a practice. Okay. And what I say by a practice, I had a real estate practice, meaning I would go out as long as I'm healthy, as long as I'm stable, as long as everything's going okay, I can make a lot of money as long as I'm good. But it ends with me. As soon as I stop, it ends. And there's nothing wrong with having a real estate practice, but there's something that hits you. For me, it hit about 46, 47 years old, right? When the grades, Sean, both you and I got it, right? When the grades started coming, and I'm like, okay, so as long as I'm healthy and fine, this is great. But what if something happens to me, or what if I get sick? What if I get something happens? And not just be doom and gloom, but we have to prepare. So I still have energy. It's not like I felt like I was slowing down. I think it was just maybe experience in life told me that I needed more of a stable business, something that I could maybe sell, to create something that I could, sell to someone else when I'm 75, or maybe something that's going to continue to pay me that could run as a business. So what I wanted to do was create a business. So my personal story is when I went to EXP, and I won't get into this part of it, but I had the opportunity to bring a program to Glen Sanford that EXP adopted as a national program. Okay. Now, what that did was that was great. I worked on it for a couple of years and it's very satisfying. I'm not that involved in it. It's bigger than me now. I had the concept and then EXP perfected it. And, it wasn't on me that did all of that, but I just brought the idea and worked on it for a little while. But what that did, because I was seeing it, put me at the table with people I didn't know existed, with teams and this new team concept and the few people in the country who were doing it the right way. Meaning you would have a team leader, which is myself, and my wife, of course, is the two owners. She does all of our marketing full time, and it's absolutely amazing. Our marketing, our promotions, things like that. And then I have a broker, Fannie Figueroa, that I have on staff that I've hired underneath me to help with the agents. I have someone else who runs all of our lead generation platforms. And then I have 26 agents right now, and we're interviewing every week and growing and growing. So because of that platform, it opened my eyes. And that's why I say I wish I would have looked earlier. I wish I would have networked earlier. I wish I would have went to conferences earlier in my career, because I would have seen that stuff emerging. But I didn't. I'm not, it's only late 40s, right? So that showed me the way that a few of these teams across the country were dominating over 20% of their local market. Now, the local market I'm in used to sell maybe 5,000 homes a year. So if I was to dominate at 20%, like the people that I'm in network groups with, that would give me 1,000 transactions. Okay. So right now, that, because the market is a little tighter, that's going to be about 3,000 homes this year. But still, even 10% of that is 300. Can you imagine one team having 20% of the local market? So when I'm seeing these teams do that, what I decided to do, I said, this is perfect for me. I have 20 some years experience. I have leadership experience. I like to speak. Being a little bit older, it's very rewarding to teach all of your experience. Sean, I think you and I've talked about this. We're in another group that we meet. It's very rewarding to find someone younger and new that's 28, 32. They're ready to hit the ground running. Like I just had a gentleman, hey, I'm going to send this letter right before I jumped on here. I'm going to send this letter out. And I looked at the letter, and it was a great articulate letter, but there were changes I knew. So I went in and I said, hey, why don't we do this, this, and this? This will make it better. And he said, hey, thanks. That's great. Well, just little things like that. It's not just about money, right? Like that stuff enriches your life. So
Yeah.
like when I go to my team meetings, I'm much more excited to be there than they are, right? So they bring me a lot of joy and a lot of happiness. So that's what I've done. So I'm setting it all up that way. But I am not, one thing I told myself, I am not reinventing the wheel. So the coach that I have didn't work with someone with my low of production. For me to get to him, I had to call someone else that I knew he respected on a way much level, and basically beat my way down the door just to get into the door. There, my what I said to him was, I will do exactly what you tell me, no matter what it is or how much it costs. I will do exactly what you tell me and not vary from the program if you'll get me in with all these people. So now I'm networking with these people. And instead of, we say 40 transactions, they have closed 2,000. They have closed 8,000, 300, 600, 900. So what I'll tell people too, when you surround yourself with people who are better than you or move faster than you, smarter than you, stronger than you, you really want to you want to have a group of people who you can help. They need you, right? You also want to have a group of people in your life who you would consider your equal in business. I'm only talking business. I'm not talking personal life. But then you want to have those people who you think, I'm never going to be as good as so-and-so. I'm never going to be as good as Sean. I'm never going to be, okay, how do I get to his level or her level? So you always need to be chasing those people. So I have those people in my life. And when I would tell you that I think this year, maybe our team will do, I don't want to embellish, how real estate agents are. Let's say 150 transactions, right? So that's pretty good in California. Yeah. But I do think the next year would be a 300. That's where we're going. Where it's going to go from that, I don't know. We kind of set that. I'm like, okay, when I get to 300 transactions, I would be completely out of sales at that point and just building the careers of the people on my team. Right now, I do about 30 transactions on my own. I've taken that down so I can give a lot of that to these other agents on my team. So I'm trying to beat the crossover. So maybe 2 to 3 more years, then I would just concentrate on, okay, I've got 40 people on my team. How do I make every one of them rock stars and spend all of my time focused on their business, which will in turn give me what I want. So, but the good thing about me in real estate is I'm the type of leader who's not just looking to get out of sales because I'm lazy or I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like I'm not
Right.
beat down. You can probably tell, right?
No,
I'm
no.
not looking to get out. I'm not looking. So I want to lead from the front. So I only take instruction from people who are in the game. I don't want theorists. I don't want people telling me philosophies. I want to see production. And so those coaches I have are doing those 900 transactions,
Yeah.
1,000 transactions. Okay, tell me how to get to 300, right? That's what we're looking at. So it's good. It's good. It keeps you in your place, keeps you humble.
Yeah, and I think you just touched on it. And you mentioned this in the beginning when we first started talking, is people get into real estate with this vision of what real estate is because they watch $1 Million Listing and Selling Sunset. And I have an agent on my team that, he went and got his real estate license, joined the Malibu Association of Realtors, and felt like he was going to just break in and just do all these, multi-million dollar celebrity homes. And it's challenging. You got 300 transactions that happen a year in Malibu, and all of LA, all the agents want that part of that business, right?
Right.
So what I would ask you next is, for me, I made the mistake of waiting 7 years before I cracked open the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, or before I went to any formal training that Keller Williams had about real estate, because I felt I came out of the auto industry. I said, I know everything about sales. I'm a car salesman, man. I don't need to go to those Friday meetings that we used to have in the sales meetings, because they required me to go when I was now have my real estate license. Nobody requires me to do anything, right? So I was like, nah, I'm not going to go to those meetings. And so, but you plugged into, I know that you've been masterminding and networking with Neil Weichel, who's in Santa Clarita, is the top agent, and actually Remax's top agent nationally, I think, right? If not California, at least.
One of the top.
But you always associated yourself with top producers so that you could be a sponge around them. What other training do you think was instrumental in taking you to that next level?
Yeah. So I think reading is important. There's obviously a lot of books that a lot of people have read, but I think it's most mindset. But I think that when you actually go to a training event, that from somebody that's been there and is totally respected, I think it's actually that meeting the people and soaking in up all the knowledge. So different people learn different. I do not learn very well from people if I don't personally respect what they've done. So if somebody is coaching or somebody's teaching for me, the first thing I want to know is what's your credentials. Okay. So for me, like I follow a lot of people on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and listen to their YouTube, what they say on YouTube and things like that. I mean, if you were listening to, the Beer Home Team, Dan Beer out of San Diego. Okay. So
Yeah.
He's probably almost a $500 million producer. He's got 60 people on his team. So I will literally, people like that, I go every day to see what he said. Okay. Because for me, that's real meat of some. There's a lady called Eva Lynn. She is in Pasadena. She just works with herself and maybe one assistant, and she does maybe, I don't know, 3 to 4 million in gross commissions a year. And I'll watch her videos and because they were so good and they got so much attention. So what I do is I try to watch the way different people do things, because I can do things different than maybe you can. And other people will approach things a different way. And I will say this, there's no one way in real estate. There are more than one ways to win, but it is a contact sport. Like, you got to be in it. If you want to be the person in your town who works with all of the charities because that's what you're passionate about, go for it. But make your contacts within that group. If you're somebody who's passionate about sports, then you need to be in every league that you can think of. So that's what I'm saying. But as far as the coaching and teaching, I think it needs, the main thing you need when you're looking for a coach. Okay. What's the credentials of that person? Have they done it? Are they giving you theory, or are they giving you practical application on how to
Yes.
do things? But here's the number one thing that people do not like. This will run more people away from my interviews and my teams. Just because I've got 30 now, at least another 30 have been like, this is way too intense for me. And we have a lot of
Yeah.
fun. It's accountability. The
Yeah.
person that will let themselves be held accountable is the person that will succeed. If you will not be held accountable by another individual, or you don't have someone strong enough to hold you accountable and tell you, you mean you didn't make your calls? What do you mean you're afraid to send a video text? I'll give a tip here. Nothing will increase your business. Nothing more than sending a video text right here. I don't care if you're sitting in your car and you're waiting on your kids at school line, and you get on your phone and you say, hello, Melissa, this is so-and-so. I was just thinking about you. I saw that Johnny hit his first home run in T-ball, and I just wanted to say congratulations. I know that's a big moment in your life. I'm just thinking about you. I wanted to say hi. 30 seconds. Boom, send. Once you send the video text, you erase it, because you don't want to send somebody else the wrong one, and because it's not personal. Personal things like that to show people you care, and then they see your marketing platform, so they know you're a real estate agent. That's what's going to bring in the business. So I want very practical stuff that I can build upon.
That's awesome.
And when I coach and I teach, I'm like, you have to do this, and you will make this. It's all mathematical data. Okay. And I see the people who will do it. It's amazing. And no matter how scared they are to get on video, because if you don't do video, you're cooked, you're done. Get out of the business. If you're afraid of the camera, just forget it. Okay. Forget it. If you don't do video, you're 5 times more likely to purchase if you see something on the video than if you see it in writing. Okay. So video is everything, and you don't have to be perfect, because my imperfect action will beat your non-action all day long. Action. You will get people.
That's awesome. And you said something that, you success leaves clues. We've heard this before, and you get success from different people. Lance Loken, who I know you've heard of in Houston, #1 agent in Houston, has expanded his team, did over 2,500 transactions last year. And he said, I'm not leaving Houston, the boundaries of Houston, until I have 1% of the market share in Houston. I'm sorry, 25% of the market share in Houston. Today at 2,500 transactions, he has 1% of the market share in Houston. And then there's somebody like Cody Gibson, who took a team, moved to a different area, built a team from scratch, and is in 29 states, and did over 3,000 transactions. And so how big is your team today? And you said you're going to do about 150 transactions. Are you looking to expand?
Yes. Yeah. So here's what I want to do. I want to always stay in the game of being practical, so I can teach the new trends. So I will probably always handle about 20 to 30 transactions personally all the time, no matter how much I have to lead. And the reason I want to do that, and I know other people like Dan, and he's doing way more than me. He goes, no, you're cheating your team if you're selling. You got to give them everything you've got. I understand that. And that might be where I go, because I'm not sure yet. But as of right now, I'm still listing my personal database. I still take the listings. And then there's maybe 10 people a year that probably this year that I'll show property to, because maybe it's very specific. They're large price points. They only want to see one house a month, so it's not taking up a lot of my time, but everything else goes. So right now I have 26 active agents, plus my wife, myself. So there's my wife, myself, and then Fanny. Well, there's 30 of us total. Okay. We're adding about 2 people a month, but they are coming to us. I'm not actively recruiting to my team, but if somebody wants to interview, I don't care if they're 1 day with a license or if they're experienced, if they're the right fit, I can help them if they're a team player. So basically, how big will the team get? I don't know. I think I have one branch office in Santa Clarita, and that's where it's at now. So the Santa Clarita Valley, but agents are starting to come from Manhattan Beach, from Glendale, from Thousand Oaks. I just have an office in Westlake Village now. So here's my thing. I want to keep it controlled. So I'm only going to build it as big as I can take care of everyone structurally. Okay. I'm not going to get, so when I build my team, I'm building leaders right now. Say I've got 4 good leaders now, and I've got another 4 in training, because I look at my business as an upside down pyramid. If there's one person holding the bottom, which is me, and it gets too big, it'll topple. And
Unstable, right?
that's what happens with most teams. I'm building the base wide, and then I'll go up, because if I have 10 people out here, then I can take a vacation. What if I got it to the point where, and I trained people so well that they didn't know I was gone for a week? Can you imagine that? Not really.
Yeah.
It does happen, right? So my first goal, and I'm not looking past it, is 300 transactions. So right now I have 6 people on our team with training and leads that I purchase and coaching and helping with Fannie that can close 20 each. And everybody else is new. Some of them have closed 1 deal, some of them closed 2, some haven't closed any. So those ones I take and I try to see who's going to make it. I can tell within about 6 weeks who's going to make it. And I don't have to fire anybody. I don't have to not hire anybody. The only thing I have to do to keep my team strong is hold them accountable. And if I hold them accountable on a public forum, meaning everybody's on the Zoom, everybody's in the classroom, and everybody gets held accountable for their phone calls, their video text, all their stuff. So then you're not picking favorites. You're not picking on anyone.
Right.
When you start holding people accountable and say, why did I pay $300 for you leads this week and you never called and didn't make your phone calls? And then they know I'm going to the next person. People make their phone calls. Those people who don't want to be held accountable, oh, you know what? It's just too far of a drive. Oh, I have another obligation on Tuesdays. I can't make the meetings. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sick. I'm going to call you back when I'm ready. Then they just ghost you and you never hear from them. So you really don't have to be nasty. You don't have to be too harsh. They have to see you lead from the front. So they have to see me send video text. So I will do live calls in training, and I'll do it. They see me do it. So as long as they see me do it and me not asking them to do things that I won't, okay?
Right.
And then we hold them accountable. And if they're not calling their leads back, I just turn them off. If they're okay, need some time, take some time. When you're ready to come back. So if you hold people accountable, your team will build very strong. So my team right now is comprised of some teachers, some police officers that just retired. One gentleman had 40 years experience in human resources, and he's going to be great. And I can just tell he's going to be such a great real estate agent. So, and then just everything. Some are moms, some are dads, some have experience, some none experience. There's no age limit. I've got everybody from 20 years old to 71. So it's the person and the spirit and the energy that they bring that I want. And I would love to have, 50 solid people like that I could just rally around and build to where they're all closing, 25, 30 deals a month. And then a year. And then we would all be making money and we could do things together. And that would be very strong. But I do know people have 100, 200, 300 agents. I just don't right now. I'm not in my career. How would I manage something like that? So, but that's what I'm learning. I'm going toward that, but I'm just not there yet.
That's awesome. And I appreciate you sharing all those details. I mean, you're successful. You look the part, you dress the part. You're a good Christian guy. We actually have a Bible study together. We'll see each other later tonight.
We will. Right here.
Exactly. And so it's not all about real estate. It's about God, family first, business second, having a business that you can leave, a legacy that you can give to your kids or sell, like you mentioned. I had turned 50, and for me, that was what made me lift my head up, take my glasses that I had, filtered glasses, looking at Keller Williams as the best and the only option, and realizing that there was a better option out there. And so this isn't about EXP, but we both are at EXP and building businesses, because EXP gives us the space to build a brokerage within a brokerage. Like we could have our own company within a company that and not have all the overhead that goes along with it.
Yeah,
So let's just close with
that's perfect,
right.
Sean. If it wasn't for EXP's platform, it would be very hard for me to do what I'm doing. But here, I can basically be a team leader. They're going to lift all that responsibility by having like Debbie Penny as our California broker and all of our other
Right.
brokers. And I can have a broker work for me, but they have the ultimate responsibility in the insurance. And then I can, instead of me worrying about, you know, this, all the files get approved through there. So those, so you have all of that help. So I think that platform for me has changed my life. And I think that's because it became available. It took people, EXP took people like me and said, oh my gosh, like Nate really would like to be a broker owner, but a hybrid version because he wants to stay in the game, he wants to sell. So how make that person successful? And then I think those big teams of what you're starting, what you have and what I have, and you know, they're all different sizes, but it's that camaraderie, and people need more than one person. What if I have 10 listings? How do I hold 10 open houses on a Sunday and all of my sellers on them? I need a team, right? I need people, other people, not just me.
Yeah, and you know, Glenn Sanford and EXP could not have built what they have if it wasn't for Gary Keller and Keller Williams coming in front of that. You know, so it's right. A, you know, real estate isn't all about the, you know, the old, like, God, the MLS used to be in a book and you'd flip through the pages to find the properties. You're old enough.
A moving target.
I don't remember that, but I didn't experience
that. I don't
that.
remember that. Now, I remember the Thomas guides. I remember driving around trying to find
Thomas guides.
But now we got our phones, so.
Yeah, we've technology, so it's changed the whole industry. And so, you know, EXP is on the cutting edge. We're the fastest growing real estate company. Nate, if you know, how does somebody want to, if somebody wants to reach out to you and get in touch with you, share your information real quick on how they can do that.
I mean, if somebody wants to get in touch with me, I mean, my cell phone number is posted everywhere. You'll see it everywhere. It's 661-312-6720. You can go to the Nate Butcher group on Facebook. You can look me up on Facebook. You can messenger me. I'm on my phone. I'm glued to it. I'm watching all my calls come in right now that we're going to get right back to. I will get back to you. If you're a young agent and wants to be a part of a team, you know, I don't care what brokerage you're with. I don't care if you're already with EXP. It doesn't matter to me about that kind of thing. But if you've got drive, but I'm basically focused on building the Nate Butcher group and my brand. So as we do that, and I do that with good people. So if anybody's interested in something like that, I'm always anxious to talk to anybody, no matter what your experience level. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you for being here. And I have the same goals. I mean, I invited Nate here knowing that he's with EXP and can offer the same thing. We're in different groups, but we have different unique value propositions. You can reach me at 818-338-8787. You can reach me on any one of these platforms that you're seeing this video. And thank you for coming. I'm going to just share a quick outro, and we will see you this evening, buddy, and see you on the field selling real estate.
All right. Sounds good. I'll see you guys. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate you having me here.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Bye.